Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I am tackling my biggest project yet. I have been asked by my good friend Mr. He to be one of the sponsors in the Midsummer Scream Return of the Living Drag 2 Drag by Dawn show, and in exchange for being a sponsor, instead of paying a certain amount, I've been tasked to give all 12 of the drag queens and king one-of-a-kind custom dolls. And there actually is more than 12, but I think 3 of them already have dolls, but I will be still giving them one of my older customs as well. So yeah, I was asked in June, like late June, so I had about a month to complete these dolls. And just to give you like a reference, dolls usually take, depending on how long I work on them, from a week to a month. So this is like a very large task, and I'm very grateful and honored that Mystery thought of me and thought I could take on this task. And so I said yes, of course, because I have the materials, it's not gonna cost me much, and I'm always down for new adventures and new experiences. So with that fun task assigned to me, I will take you along the journey of everything I did to create these dolls in a month. So yeah, let's get started. For these dolls, I wanted to have an overarching theme of Halloween, so just any sort of look that they've done that's spooky but unique, and kind of fits to their style. Some of them were from last year's show, others were just stuff I found from stalking their page. So yeah. So the first doll I worked on was Drag King Cosimo. The look I went for Cosimo was his look in last year's show, because I loved his look so much with the orange tux and the green face, and I was just really excited to make him. For his head, I actually used the original head I was going to use for the doll factory, so you can see her hair is very burnt, and I'm glad I can give her a new outlook on life. And for the body, I used a Harry Potter doll, as it gives a more masculine look. So the first thing I did, of course, was swap the heads and paint him green. I only had to paint the head and the hands since the rest of his body will be covered. And then it was time for the face up. I started off by shading the face with some darker green pastels, and then doing the initial sketch with a dark green watercolor pencil. Then I went over that initial sketch with more watercolor pencils. And then I painted the lips red. And that's the face up. I also painted his hands with some glitter paint to emulate the gems he had on his gloves. And after his face up was done, it was time to create an orange tuxedo. The shirt is just a white shirt I colored black. And then I sewed the blazer and the pants from orange fabric. And for the most time-consuming part, I got some glitter paint and painted on little stripes, as in the original he had gems, kind of gem lines. So to emulate that, that's what I did. For his shoes, I just painted these dress shoes black and added the silver details. Next was his hat. I made out of construction paper and the same orange fabric with the glitter. And then added the black stripe and the orange feather. I also made his bow tie using orange ribbon. For his hair, I used black yarn and brushed it out and then curled it. And then I just glued it onto the head and styled it. Next is Luxe the drag queen, who I actually met at Spooky Swap Meet, but she was also in last year's show. So for the look, I am going to be doing her outfit from Spooky Swap Meet, which was kind of like a Beetlejuice inspired outfit, which I loved. So of course I prepped the doll. I didn't have to do any head swapping this time. And then for the dress, I used a striped t-shirt and then cut some holes in it. I also glued on some gems and added the safety pins and her belt, which is just made out of some jump rings. Her shoes were just red shoes I painted black. Her gloves are just some fishnets I cut some holes into. And then rerouted her with some orange yarn. And then I just brushed out the hair. I didn't straighten it at all. I just ended up styling it since her hair was very poofy. Now for her face up. Her face is a nice mint green. And then I did the details with watercolor pencils and paint. Also, just a fun fact, when I was working on Luxe, I got my wisdom teeth removed, so it was a good activity to do without having to talk. And with that, Luxe is done. Next is Miss Clair Voyance, which I chose to do her Morticia look. And I didn't film much of this process because it was a bit of trial and error. Her head was from this Morticia doll from Amazon, and her body was from a Descendants, I think, Mal doll that I've had in my stock box for a while. Her face up is just like the others, just using watercolor pencils and paint. And her dress was that same Morticia dress but modified to fit Claire's, which I made with purple and black and then like a sheer black fabric to create like the wings she has, and also split the middle down to have a flared look. And I was initially going to use her original hair that came with the doll, but it looked really greasy when styled, so I ended up just cutting it off at the end and making a yarn wig off camera. Next is Natasha Nightmare, which I chose her zombie look from last year's show. Her base doll was Cheetah from the 1984 Wonder Woman doll line. First, I added the clay details like the rotting of the skin, since she's a zombie, just with some normal air-dry clay. While the clay was drying, I made her blue dress off camera, since sometimes when it comes to creating outfits, if I don't have a pattern, I kind of just wing it and do it off camera since it's a lot of work. But after her blue dress was done, I just weathered it with some pastels and paint. And same goes with her face. Then for her hair, I brushed out some blonde yarn and then glued it on. Next is the host Peaches Christ, and I chose to do her Midnight Mass look since that's the most iconic. Here's her base doll. And I just took this Barbie school outfit, I cut off the shirt and dyed it purple with some acrylic paint. And then I did the same with the collar piece. And then for the base of her dress, I just got this flannel fabric and just sewed up a cute little dress. And then comes her face up. Lastly, her shoes were these boots I painted black. And for her hair, I did most of the styling off camera since a lot of the queens have very elaborate hair. I wanted to take my time and really focus on it. So here's me just brushing out some magenta yarn and then attaching it to her head. And lastly, I added a jewel in the middle to act as her brooch. Next is Miss Amber St. James and this blood red look that she had, which I loved. So the first thing I did was take some yarn and re-rooted her since she has these thick red locks. I styled it, of course, off camera because she has these cute little buns and I wanted to make sure it was as even as possible. And like I said, lots of trial and error with the hair, so I really took my time with it off camera. For her dress, I used this sparkly red fabric and just bunched it up as the skirt and then attached it to the bodice piece. And then I gave it a sweetheart neckline by just gathering it in the middle. For her bracelets, I used this gold wire and just wrapped it around her wrists and her neck. And here's her corset. I really loved doing her face up since she had all these cool designs, and I went over everything with acrylic paint so it can really pop. And next is Selena Blackwater. For her base doll, I used an Ida B. Wells doll since she came with the perfect base dress I can build off of. And for her head, I just found this head in my stock box. Since I was just building off of Ida's dress, I just added the apron, cuffs, and collar off camera. And next was her face up. She had these cool, like, glyph designs on her face, and it was really fun drawing it in miniature. Next, I weathered her outfit with acrylic paints and chalk pastels. And her hair was brushed out yarn hair that I just glued to her scalp. Then I made her cape with some crushed velvet fabric and added a hook and eye closure at the front. And then I just attached her cape and she was done. Next was Who Knew, which I chose this really cool vampire look that she did. Here's her base doll. And I started off with re-rooting her with some black yarn since she has a bun. Then I brushed it out and straightened it and then curled it into a bun. Next was her face up. And her earrings. I also painted her shoes black. Then I took this huge pile of blues and purples and black fabrics and created her outfit. For her skirt, I cut strips out of some of the fabrics and then glued it on. And then for her harness, I used this black pleather ribbon, a jump ring, and some chain. I did a lot of her outfit off camera, especially with the boa, because it just was super messy and it got everywhere and it was just really hard to film. So I just, concentrated, took my time, and did it off camera. It is a bit harder for me to record my customizing process since I just kind of have a basic camera with a kit lens, so a lot of stuff isn't focused or I always move out of frame because it's so tiny, so that's why a lot of my shots are pulled back. But hopefully this stuff I captured gives you a general idea on what I did for each doll. And coming up next is Oceana, which I chose her Bride of Frankenstein look from last year. Here's her base doll. I created her outfit out of just some white t-shirt material and some ribbon. And her corset was made with a mesh fabric and some ribbon. Then I just painted her hands black to emulate gloves, and then got to her face up. Her hair was some black yarn I just brushed out and glued to her head. I also added the white parts using white yarn as well. I made her earrings out of black cardstock and silver Sharpie. Next is April showers. I chose to make this super cute witch outfit, and I started off by making her top out of this orange fabric and candy corn fabric I had. I also added the corset details with ribbon. And here's how it looks. I'm really proud of this top. Next was her skirt, which I took some black satin fabric and gathered it. By this time, I was actually running dangerously low on Mr. Super Clear, so I ordered a new one. Then I added the red petals, I'm not sure what those are called, as well, and then glued on an orange bow. And just a fun fact with April is that her petticoat is one of the scrapped skirts from my Lisa Frankenstein custom. For her hair, I used this kind of gingery dark orange color. Of course, I brushed it out and straightened it. Then of course, I glued her hair onto her head. I did the face-up off camera since when the sealant did arrive, it was giving me a bit of trouble, so I just wanted to handle that off camera. Then her hat was made using black felt and an orange ribbon. I also glued on more tulle fabric in the back. Next is Leeko Rae, which I did her Beetlejuice outfit from last year. And I started off by creating these striped socks just out of a t-shirt, and then a black bodysuit I made out of a black t-shirt. And for her jacket, I actually took this striped Ken t-shirt and just modified it into a jacket. For her coat, I had this sparkly army green fabric and purple crushed velvet, and just created a big long coat. For her face, I painted it white, and then did her face up with chalk pastels and watercolor pencils. For her hair, I of course brushed out some green acrylic yarn, and then to create that ombre effect she had, I rubbed on some darker green pastel and then straightened it out and cleaned it up just to limit the staining it could potentially produce. This part got really messy. I also had some parts straightened and some parts left puffy to create some dimension. And then of course I glued the hair onto the head. And that's Leeko. Last but not least is Cream. I chose to do Cream last because I wanted to do her design from last year's show as well, which had all these cool sculpted parts. So I first started off with these two Barbie heads, one of which was actually April's original head, but then I found out she had these super glue stains around her neck, so I switched out her head for a new one and then used the old one for Cream. And I just cut out the face part and then added the sculpted details with epoxy sculpt. Same goes for the details on her face and neck. And for some last bit of detail, she has these kind of red blob or like skin. So I recreated that with hot glue both on her shoes and the two faces. And then I added the drooping skin with some tan construction paper and added more texture and detail with hot glue. Then it was on to painting. Here's a before and after with all the base colors and then all the blood and the black wash. Then of course I did her glam side with chalk pastels and watercolor pencils. For her tights, it was actually 3 different layers. I had the fishnets, then the red stockings, and then the black socks, all of which had cut textured holes in it. And then for her hair is of course brushed out red yarn that I glued directly onto her head. The rest of her outfit was just the same glittery red fabric as Amber, and then her corset was just used using some black fabric. And of course for her nails, I used some construction paper and super glued it onto her nails and then painted it a sparkly red color. Now by this time, all the dolls were done. I did the photo shoots. I saw that the lineup did change. This was 2 days before I had to have everything packed and ready to go. I found out that Amber and Cosimo weren't able to attend, and a newcomer, Lavender, would be joining as well. So with only 2 days, I knew I could get one more doll done, as most of these dolls were 1 to 2 day makes, and I chose to do her zombie look also from last year's show. So I found a skipper head with the perfect hair color. I got her hair into braids to give it a wavy look and curled the ends with some straws and bobby pins. While that was drying, I painted her gray and created her dress out of this lavender fabric. And then was her face up. Then came the ultimate weathering with a bunch of washes, dry brushes, and chalk pastels. Lastly, I bejeweled her dress. And now that all the dolls are done, it's time for the grand reveal. with Lavender done, I was able to get all the dolls packed and ready to go. I created these little inserts that had the inspiration next to the doll, as well as a little description and my commission info. I also created little labels that would go outside the box. Another challenge I faced was finding boxes to fit the dolls. I normally use shoe boxes, but I couldn't find any to recycle that were the right size. So I did still use the shoe boxes, but as the parts I would tie the doll into. So I ended up finding these trading card holders off of Amazon that were the perfect size for the dolls. And I went with trading card holders because I wanted to be able just to open the doll up, no tape, no like cardboard box. They could just open it up, untie it to take a look, and then tie it back in and close back up for easy travels. Now, the queens that did have dolls of their own, but I still wanted to include something, was real guys or drag pool. So I decided to gift them one of my Ghostface dolls. I gave them my Scarecrow Ghostface, which I packaged in the same way as the others. And now that all the dolls are packaged, let's deliver them to the queens.
1, 2, 3.
Let's talk about it! Oh my god!
You guys, the dolls have arrived. Monster High.
Yeah! Woo! Oh, get into it! Oh, this is so amazing! Yeah, thank you. Oh, you ate! You ate! Oh this my is amazing! I love that. Thank you so much. Yes. Oh my goodness. I will post it. Oh my god.
That is so cool.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
I'm putting it right next to my girl, don't literally do not cry right now.
Don't worry, it's all good.
2, 3.
Oh my god! You better stop!
This is all her. This is the doll designer
Stop.
right here.
This is
Making dolls for the dolls.
Stop. I am insane.
Yeah. This is incredible.
Oh my god. Please.
Let me grab my phone.
Oh, can I hug you? I need a hug. Oh, wait. How much I look like this.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh, very nice. Love it.
Come to the doll stand as well.
Thank you. Because I know. I like do know, but I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Are
So
you
cute.
freaking kidding me?
Literally,
I could cry. I'm like trying hard not to cry. That is so cool. Oh my gosh, how cute. And you made this? Holy moly, thank you. Thank you so much. I seriously appreciate this. Thank you. My eyes are watering. That is so cute.
Words can't describe how thankful I am for this experience and everything I was able to achieve and see, and of course, all the queens' reactions were just priceless. I seriously can't thank Mr. He enough for everything that he's done, and of course the shout out on stage as well was really surreal and very emotional. All I can say is just thank you, thank you, thank you so much. It means so much to me. I'd like to also give a huge thanks to Norm for allowing me to be in the show, and my partner Ray for all the love and support throughout the entire process. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I can't believe I made 13 dolls in 1 month, and with juggling other things as well, which you'll see in another video. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!